Hi, this is Wendy Williams with Williams Educational Consultants, and this is my YouTube channel. Today, I had the pleasure of speaking with Tanisha Johnson, the Director of Undergraduate Recruitment at Wesleyan College in Macon, Georgia. And today's episode was fantastic. You will learn more about her guidance and her direction and her passion for her field. You will learn how students can put together the best application and how they can connect with admissions people on campus. So please take this time to join me today to discuss higher education and what it looks like for someone like Tanisha Johnson and how she helps empower women today. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy today's episode. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to Williams Educational Consultants. I am Wendy Williams, founder of Williams Educational Consultants in Atlanta. I work with students nationwide in college admissions and K through 12 day school placement. Today, I am honored to have Tanisha Johnson, Director of Undergraduate Recruitment at Wesleyan College in Macon, Georgia. So Tanisha, thank you so much for being here with me.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. It's an honor to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about your university, your college, your institution that you work with.
I'm so glad that you asked that question. I work for Wesleyan College in Macon, Georgia. I get so excited to talk about Wesleyan because we are the first school in the world chartered to grant degrees for women. So we're an all-women's liberal arts school in the heart of the state, providing educationals and student life experiences from women across the world. We like to say that Wesleyan women go worldwide, and we're truly focused on accelerating equality for women. We want women to know they can go anywhere in the world, do whatever they want to do boldly and confidently, because we're going to empower, equip, and educate them to do amazing things. Wesleyan's a special place, and I truly hope that people worldwide know how special Wesleyan is, not just to me, but to the women we serve.
I love that. I love the passion and the commitment in your voice. It's very refreshing to hear. As two women working in this industry, I am sure
Absolutely.
that you empower so many others. So I thank you for that.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell
Thank
me,
you.
tell me a little bit about your journey to higher education.
Higher education was not my first plan. So I always knew that I wanted to be in education. Since about the fourth grade, I had a fantastic teacher. Her name goes by Lacey Rice. She's still at Berrien County School System to this day. I still talk to her. And she inspired me to be a teacher. My whole K through 12 experience since that moment, I wanted to be a teacher. I realized quickly by working the after school program when I was in K through 12 that teaching fourth graders all day long may not be my purpose. So then I got to high school. I joined FBLA, FCA, all the clubs and organizations that I was so excited to be a part of. And I said, well, I can teach high school. That'd work. It'd be perfect. The students are older. They won't touch you as much. They won't be as needy. I'll just teach high school. I was sold on it. I went to a small school down in South Georgia, Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College, good little school, as my grandmother would say. And then I got there and I started working for the Dean of Students there at ABAT, Dean Bernice Hughes. And that is when it clicked to me that I didn't quite want to be in the K through 12 setting anymore. It was something about higher education that just gave me life. It gave me a thrill. I saw all the different aspects that you can be in. You could be in student life. You could be in residential life. You could be in admissions. You could be in financial aid or student accounts. I just saw that there were so many different things that you could do. So after working for Dean Hughes for about 3.5 years, I said, well, I kind of want to just stay here. So my senior year, they were looking for an enrollment counselor at ABAC. And I was sitting in class and getting ready to graduate. And as soon as the email came out, about 5 of my professors forwarded the email to me. And I emailed them back, told them, I'm not quite sure if that's something that I want to do. I don't even know what it is. They're like, Tisha, it's a sales job. You sell anything. You sell to us all the time. I'm like, okay, well, I'll look into it. Then I walked into work today at the Dean of Students office, and Dean Hughes and Miss Vicky looked at me. They said, "You're going to apply for this job." I said, "I don't even know what it is. Like, why does everyone keep telling me to apply for this job?" They're like, "Well, you don't have to worry about that. You're going to apply for it. You're going to be happy, and we'll see where it goes." So truly, I have to thank ABAC. I have to thank my professors, the dean of students, Miss Vicky, our admin at the time, for just encouraging me to seek that one opportunity that has now led to so many different opportunities in higher education, ranging from sitting on boards for professional organizations, now being a director. I mean, the journey has truly been amazing. And it all started right there at ABAC in that Dean of Students office with Miss Bernice Hughes. So I really thank her for her mentorship, guidance, and leadership that she gave me.
And it goes back to your teacher.
Yes, Miss
I mean,
Rice.
what a tribute to education. And if you have the right people in front of you, the
Absolutely.
connections that one can make, they are
Absolutely.
lifelong and life-changing.
Absolutely. Miss Rice is she's different. She's not your average teacher. When you walk in her room, you can just feel that she's there for purpose. She's there for life. Oftentimes I tell her that her husband is a true jewel because he's kept her this long with how many students she comes home and the shoes she buys, the snacks she buys, the Christmas gifts. I'm like, if I could just have a husband like yours one day, I mean, I think we'd be okay. But I have to give tribute to their spouses as well, because over the years, I mean, these people, they've showed up to graduations, they showed up to celebrations. I cannot tell you, Miss Rice missed one graduation my whole life, and she sent a video that morning congratulating me, and we both were crying. So these people, they just didn't teach, they just didn't mentor, they just didn't provide jobs and opportunities. They showed up when it meant the most to me. So I have to thank them. Education right now, the state that it's in, it's those type of teachers, it's those type of educators that we need to stay.
Yes,
because they're just so valuable.
They are very valuable, and they can make or break a classroom. They can make or break a future.
Absolutely.
They've got such power.
Yes.
And when it's used and harnessed correctly, the lives that it changes. So
absolutely.
I love that. I got into the field of educational consulting because of my great mentor. And so I have something very similar. And I can tell you that it just takes one person to really help somebody find their path. And so I know with what you do and with what I do, that is kind of ingrained in us from those mentors.
Absolutely.
And that's what makes our jobs, I think, so special, though they're different, but so special and powerful.
Absolutely.
Tell me, how do you think colleges create their incoming classes?
Well, you know, Wendy, creating your incoming class is done a variety of ways. You know, a lot of institutions buy names, a lot of institutions send out masses of emails and text messages and makes a lot of phone calls. A lot of institutions are well known for their reputations, their big flagship schools, or they're legendary, or they have a history of grandmothers and grandfathers going. So there's a lot of ways that you make up your incoming class. Essentially, recruitment is key to making your incoming class, whether that's in-person recruitment, online recruiting, marketing. You know, there's a lot of ways that you can recruit. And in this day and time, you have to be very creative with recruiting because there's so many schools looking for students. But I would say that you have to be persistent in one thing. You have to be continuous in one thing. And that one thing is building relationships. So my first boss, I'm thankful for, Miss Donna Webb, because she was very intentional about teaching us how to build relationships with our students. Because there's nothing like a student showing up to open house or showing up to accepted student day or showing up to their campus visit. And they say, because of Miss X is the reason why I'm coming to this school. And I say that once you build that relationship with the student, the recruiting process is easy, right? They're going to come to that school because they feel safe, they feel connected, they feel a part. A word that we use a lot right now in the world of admissions is fit, right? They will feel as if they fit into that institution. So building that relationship is very important. And I would say that a key component of building that incoming class is building the relationships with those students, because the name buys are easy. You click a button, you swipe your card, you do however you pay for it.
Right.
Sending emails are easy, texting is easy, all those things are easy, right? But the
Right.
relationship building is the part that may not be as easy for people. And I truly believe at Wesleyan, that's one thing we're good at, is building those relationships. And that's a key component to us increasing our incoming class year after year.
That's terrific. So what type of swag does Wesleyan College give to their prospective students and their new incoming students? Anything unique or different? Can you share that?
Right. So we do give out some cool little things. So deposited students, those who have said, I'm coming to Wesleyan, I've paid my deposit, they've received this cool swag box, right? And it has a keychain and it has a Wesleyan bound pullout. It has some other swag like a pen and a water bottle. It just has a whole bunch of different little things in it. And they're all marked by Wesleyan, right? So whether it has the W, whether it has Wesleyan, whether it has Accelerating Equality for Women, it has all those things, right? And I'll throw this in, don't quite know when you're posting this video, but I will say that May 1st is National College Decision Day. And
Yes.
we are hoping that all our Wesleyan bound students post their photos with their Wesleyan bound pullouts saying that they are committed and coming to Wesleyan College on May 1st.
Yes, I will get this up before May 1st. Don't you worry. That is a big
Perfect.
day for everybody on both sides of the desk.
Absolutely.
Do you think that being an all women's college, does that incoming class and gathering that data and that information and building those connections, do you think it's different than another university or college that is really recruiting both male and female students?
Think it is, because when you're recruiting for Wesleyan, you're not just recruiting a student to come to your school, right? You're recruiting a student to come into sisterhood. You're recruiting a student to come into leadership. You're recruiting a student to come into mentorship. So you're recruiting a student to come more into just say, you're coming to our university, you're coming to 50 different majors, you're coming into 100 plus clubs and organizations. No, you're coming to life when you come to Wesleyan. And I can truly say this past weekend was alum weekend at Wesleyan. And I mean, you had classes up from 1968, from the 1950s, still coming together, and their bonds have not changed. I saw women running to each other, hugging each other. I saw women visiting places across Macon from years and years ago. So when you come to Wesleyan, you're not just coming to any institution. You're coming to an institution where the relationships are going to be beyond just now, where your education is going to take you places that you may not have ever imagined it taking you, because we do have alum all over the world that have connections to get you in doors you might not have access to. You're coming into an institution where we build leaders, right? We want you to know that you can walk into a room and you can own it as a woman, right? Whether that's the classroom, the boardroom, the operating room, we want you to know you are a Wesleyan woman and you can go into any room and own it. You're walking into mentorship. We pride ourselves by being able to mentor our women, right? We have this new institute at Wesleyan called the CEO Leadership Institute, and it's creating equal opportunities. And those young women will have the opportunity to have a developmental plan from year 1 to year 4. And by the end of that program, our president, Miss Megan Black, will be able to write them a recommendation letter. And you're not going to get that at many institutions.
No.
And not just a recommendation letter that says, you know, Tanisha attended Wesleyan, but a recommendation letter that said, Tanisha led this initiative, Tanisha did this at Wesleyan. I truly and highly recommend Tanisha for this role.
Absolutely. So again, I know we're going to jump in. I'm going to ask you about the application process, but I really hope families heard what you just said. Even though Wesleyan College is an all women's institution,
right?
Wherever you are applying, one must look at the mission, the history, and
Absolutely.
make that connection, because they really are cultivating a class that they are hoping will take their history and their mission and do X number of things with it. Great things. So let's go to the college application application process.
Mhm.
And really, what does that look like for students?
I like to say our application process is fairly easy. We need an application from you. You can pull up our application on Common App. Make sure you're selecting Wesleyan College in Macon,
Yes.
Georgia, okay? Wesleyan College, Macon, Georgia. Or you can go to our website directly, and we have a first-year application on our website. We need your high school transcript, so please be sure to send us your high school transcript. We also would like to look at your SAT or ACT test scores. This year, we are SAT or ACT optional. We don't need your test scores for admission, but I do want to say that a lot of scholarships require your test scores.
Yes.
So if you have a 3.0 GPA looking to apply and be accepted to Wesleyan, we don't need your test scores, but we would still like to look at them so that we can look and decide if you qualify for any of our scholarships. So again, I think the process is pretty easy, right? We need your application. Application can be found on Common App or on our website, wesleyancollege.edu. We need your high school transcript, 3.0 GPA without test scores. If you have a little bit lower than a 3.0 GPA, we really need your test scores. But essentially, we would love for you to still provide those test scores regardless, so that we can see if you qualify for any of our scholarships.
And does Wesleyan require the personal essay within the Common App?
Wesleyan does not require the personal essay throughout the Common App, but we do have a lot of young ladies who provide that personal essay, and I enjoy reading them. So if you would like to provide it, it will go with your admissions package that you send us. So all that good information, we will put that in there. We do read them if you send them. And when you send those letters, it may help us kind of place you in different areas, right? So if you send us a strong letter that really shows that you want to lead, in my mind, it's going to say, okay, she may want to participate in the CEO leadership program. So I'm then going to take that information and pass it over to the student affairs department. If you send me this long letter that says, you know, I have a rich church history, these are the things I participated in my mind, it may go, well, she may want to get involved with some of our religious organizations on campus. Let me pass this along to our chaplain. So although we don't require as a part of our admissions process, it helps us along the way with getting you involved on campus early and having those the leaders of those departments reach out to you and share opportunities that they may can provide you once you become a student at Wesleyan.
That's perfect. You know, with students that come to my office and we're seeking out the right fit academically, financially, socially,
Right.
it really, for me, that personal essay, regardless if the
Right.
college requires it, it's
Mhm.
got to be completed because it
Yeah.
really does help shape and build
Mhm.
confidence in a
Mhm.
lot of different ways. And so I love that personal essay, and I
It
always
does.
encourage students to write it. It
Absolutely.
takes time. You cannot
Yes.
do it overnight. It takes
Yeah.
time. It's a commitment. So I do love that. Well, with the application being really looked at in terms of the GPA and maybe the standardized testing and the activities that students take part in their high school
Mhm.
experience, what advice can you give students to have engagement with the institution during the admissions phase?
So I will say this over and over and over again. Your admissions counselor should almost be like a big brother or sister, a best friend building relationship. Be with your admissions counselor. Text them, call them, email them. I promise you, they truly want to build a relationship with you. They truly want to work with you. They're going to advocate for you. I can't tell you how many students I will go to my associate VP. I will go to my president, and I will tell those powerful leaders, this student needs to be at Wesleyan. So I would say that one of the ways that you can do that is by really getting involved with your admissions counselor. They are there for you. They want to see you excel. And I'll tell you this, you know, every student is not a fit for every school. So
Correct.
we can also be that advocate for you to tell you this may not be the best fit for you. So your admissions counselor is going to be key. And I also will say, get on campus as much as you can, right? So at Wesleyan, for example, we've had some preview days on campus. We had some receptions on campus for accepted students. We had admitted students day. We had scholarship day. We had alum weekend. We had a block party this week. If it's an event on campus that we can provide, that we can invite a prospective student to, we are going to invite them. And as much as you can, get on that campus, because it's going to give you a feel of what it's really going to be like at that institution, right?
Yes.
In some
Absolutely.
schools, they can make it shiny for preview day.
Yeah.
They can clean the campus up. They can tell the dining hall to serve the best food. They can make it look real good. They package it well, right? But you really want to know what it's like when it's unpackaged. So
Yeah.
I would say, as much as possible, visit that campus. We invited some prospective students to our block party this week, and I can truly say that they had a blast at our block party. And they're like, Miss Tanisha, I can't wait to be at Wesleyan. I'm like, I can't wait for you to be there either. It's going to be a fantastic time. So 2 things that I would truly say that will help you get acquainted with the campus is that admissions counselor, and get to campus as much as you can.
How many admissions counselor are there at Wesleyan College?
So at Wesleyan College, let's see, I serve as an admissions counselor. There's Miss Kayla Walker, Miss Donna Webb, Miss Yasmin. So there's about 4 or 5 of us there at Wesleyan that serve as admissions counselors. We also serve in other roles.
Sure.
But essentially, key component of our jobs is serving as that admissions counselor.
And how do the readers come into play? Because y'all read too. So is it just the 4 of you, or are there other readers that are helping, maybe reading the first batch, and then there's somebody coming in for the second? How does that work?
So we manage our territory. So we all have our own territories. For example, my territory is the Atlanta area. When I say Atlanta, since that big song, You're Not From Atlanta, came out, when I say Atlanta, I'm meaning from about the Henry County line up to about the Coweta area. Yes. So all of what a South Georgia girl would consider Atlanta. So I serve Atlanta, and I also serve our out-of-state students. So if you're coming from out of state, I'm also going to serve you. So for example, I will focus on the Atlanta students and the out-of-state students. Miss Donna will focus on everyone South Georgia. So essentially with us, the person who you're already building a relationship with, they're already learning about you, you're already telling them about your family and your cats in your senior year, is going to be the one reading your application.
Yes.
So that building relationship has been started from day one, since the first email or phone call.
Right. And do you agree that since COVID, you've been able to really see a great glimpse of the interior of that student, because you can Zoom with them, you can connect with them so much easier nowadays? Right. And I just think it gives everybody a wealth of information about that right. candidate. So I don't know. I think the access is there.
Absolutely.
There's no reason to not know Wesleyan College. You can connect with the admissions people. You can get on a virtual tour. You can get on
Absolutely.
campus.
Absolutely.
So there should be no reason it is not known what you are special about.
From the bottom to the top, our president will give a tour. She will come eat in the dining hall with you. She'll pick up the phone and make calls to prospective students. She will do whatever possible to make sure that we're very well connected and that the Wesleyan mission's getting out. And I won't just say that about our president. I think coming to Wesleyan from, I've worked at former schools before. One thing that I can truly pride Wesleyan is the connection that our faculty and staff have with students. They provide so much more than an education. I see faculty and staff helping students pick out that first interview outfit. I see faculty and staff showing up to events for our students. I see faculty and staff just giving that pour. I talk a lot about pour when I'm speaking for other community events. And, this generation of students need that extra pour. They've been through a lot in the past few years with COVID and everything.
Yes.
And I would say that Wesleyan is truly that institution that provides that extra pour. And not just to our students, but I could say even to faculty and staff. Like, we stick together, we advocate for each other, we work well with each other. As the young students would say it, we hype each other up. We're our biggest cheerleaders. I could say that Wesleyan is a special place, and not just for students, but for faculty and staff as well.
That's great. That's great. Well, I know you have given a lot of advice for students going through the admissions process and just learning more about your college. What kind of advice would you give a student as they embark on their life journey after high school?
Well, Wendy, there's so many things I could say, but I want to keep it very simple. I'm a first-generation college student. I was raised by my grandmother. I have a long story that I could tell you all about if we had more time. But, my mom she didn't have much to give us. She didn't have a high school education. She didn't work some big fancy corporate job, but she loved us with all she had. And she would always tell my brothers and I, put your eyes on the prize. Don't take your eyes off the prize for anyone or anything. And I promise you will get to where you're headed. So if I give any students advice, it would be what my mother told me, which was keep your eyes on the prize. And then my great grandmother would say, and this is my number one piece to my students, not pushing religion on anyone or not saying that you have to have a belief of what I believe in, but she would say to keep God first. My grandmother would always say that when times are hard, pray. When times are good, pray. So my number one piece of advice would always be to tell students to keep God first and have an active prayer life. A lot of students, once they get to college, that prayer life kind of fades. They're not around mother, grandmother, aunts, or uncles who, what my grandmother would say, drug them to church. Yeah. But I would definitely say to keep your eyes on the prize and keep God first. I can say that's held me then and it's holding me now. So that's the advice I would give.
Well, I would say amen to that. So I think that's fantastic.
Awesome.
Tanisha, let me ask you this one question I ask every guest is really, what do you find brings you the most joy in your life?
Oh, a lot of things bring me joy, but I would say the biggest thing that brings me joy is when I can get down, trying to find the right words to say, but I love my suits. I love my heels. I love my purses. And if you know me well, red lipstick is a signature for me, hence why I have it on today. But I like to get down and gritty with those who typically wouldn't get the opportunity. I think a lot of times, if I go back to how I was raised, Jesus just didn't eat with those of us who had it all. Jesus went out and he ministered. He went to the streets is what I would say, and he touched those who others really didn't want to touch. And I think for me, is working with those who typically don't get people who work with them. I think some of my favorite things to do is to recruit in our low income schools, recruit in our high minority schools, recruit in those schools that, your average admissions counselor quite don't want to go to. I'll never forget this day. I was in a school in Georgia. I won't give too many details, but I saw a student walking out. He was done. He was not coming back to school. And it broke my heart because, I know what it's like to want to try so hard and do so well, but you just don't have the support in your home that you need to get to that next level. And I chased that student down. I was practically in tears. I said, you can't quit school. You can't quit school. And the principal looked at me. He said, that's not your job. We've tried all we can with that student. You need to just let him go. And I looked at that principal. I said, that student's coming back today. And I chased the student down and I told him, I said, you have two options. You can walk out the door today and that's it. Whatever's happening at home is going to be your story. I said, or you can come back and you can finish and I can help you find a pathway to get you out of what you're currently in. And he said, Miss Tanisha, you just don't know what's going on. He said, you wouldn't understand. Look at you. That day, I took off every piece of jewelry I had on. I took off my high heels. I took off my blazer. I said, do I look normal enough to you today? And he said, well, yeah. I said, well, let's have a real conversation. And I told the student, I said, there's a lot of things that people don't know about me. And the things that people don't know is because I come well packaged. But if you talk to me, I had a father and a mother who were both on drugs. I was raised by a grandparent. Life is all over my family. I said, there's a lot of things that I could tell you right now. I said, but I can tell you another thing. If I would have quit school, I would have been a part of the society that I've been around my whole life. I said, education was a great part of my success today. I said, so I'm telling you now, walking out those doors is not going to help the environment that you're in. And that day, when that moment happened, I knew there was a reason why I do what I do today. And it's not just to say that I met a number. It's not just to say, that I'm a representation of some school, but it's truly to impact the lives of students in a special way. So I tell students every day, I'm not just here to sell you Wesleyan. I'm not just here to sell you ABAC or Coastal or whatever school that I was at the time. I'm really here to help make a life change for you. Whether that be telling you, it's okay that you're not going to college. Everyone's not meant to go to college. But if you're not going to college, what's your plan, right? Are you going straight to the workforce? Are you going to the military? What is your next step after high school? I believe I'm in this not just as a job. I get paid to do this. I get paid to sell any school that I'm not. But this is a mission field for me. So I would say, long story short, it's truly a passion. It's truly a mission. It's truly a vision for me. And I just pray that for the rest of my career, that I can have the same energy to do what I love every day.
Oh, Tanisha, you need to spread that joy. You really do. That is quite a story, and your success and everything that you give to professionals and students. I can't personally say thank you enough for getting out there and sharing and caring and
Absolutely.
giving opportunities, be it at Wesleyan or wherever.
Right.
I imagine you're that person in the grocery store line that you're talking to everybody. Yes, getting to know them. I love it. I love it. So
everybody.
I have to say thank you so much for spending time today with me and sharing your story and your mission and giving us hope and the other side for understanding how college admissions can work, bringing attention to a women's education and what that means.
Yes.
So thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. And whatever you do, don't stop doing it. And continue to wear your red lipstick because you look fantastic in it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be on here today, Wendy. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you for allowing me to share about Wesleyan and the mission that in pursuit we're on to celebrate equality for women, but also telling part of my story, as I truly do love what I do for Wesleyan and for just the community around me. Wendy, continue doing what you're doing. We're changing lives every day, and don't forget it.
Yes, thank you so much. Have a blessed day, Tanisha.
You too, Wendy.